It's estimated about 6 million feral pigs are roaming America. Get upset that it'll be your show's security camera that's always on. Welcome everyone. Today we are digging deep into an open secret of Texas that seems to terrorize their agricultural and economic sector, responsible for over $1.5 billion in damage to agriculture, natural resources, and property a year. Wild boars are rapidly infesting cornfields, causing significant damage. By consuming thousands of dollars worth of farm products, if I looked at it on average, I can lose up to 10% of my grain crops in a growing season from the wild hogs. Join us through how Texas farmers and hunters deal with 2.6 million wild boars attacking cornfields. Have you ever had something seemingly good multiply to become a major hassle or a case of a bad plague? Unfortunately, this is the literal state of Texas and its skirt-holding relationship with wild pigs. It's a pig apocalypse. Packs of wild hogs are everywhere. Over time, stray animal became 2, 3, and overnight, 2.6 million feral hogs wander in large hostile groups, eating away at everything and anything on sight. At many points it has been asked where those thieving and destructive sounders come from and how they became so many. The wild pigs haven't always been indigenous to Texas, but were only introduced after the first Texas settlers brought pigs with them as a food source, and after marking allowed them to roam freely and feed self-sufficiently. Later on, the reason for breeding, the pigs became capitalized and recreational. Texas ranchers and sportsmen released Eurasian wild boars for hunting in the 1930s and added to the previously expanding population. In the 1980s, the pig population significantly increased, but it wasn't deemed threatening, as many pigs were either sold or became taken over most of the county in Texas. Their byproducts, such as meat, were also profitable to sell. The main cause of the height in population was in 1492, during Christopher Columbus's exploration. At the time, it was not uncommon to live livestock on shore and allow them to multiply to become a future food source. Pigs were the major animals left at the shore because of their strong, adaptive nature and excellent breeding rate. They seemed to be the most rational animals, with effective results. Nobody knew from early on that dumping herds of pigs into Texas was a yummy recipe for disaster. Due to a few factors not being put into consideration, Texas has a problem of slow spread due to its large landmass. The migration of animals is an even slower process that leaves the pigs confined, and they breed much faster and on a larger scale compared to when they are in motion. Within a few weeks or about 3 months of settling, more than 24 might be added to a herd. Unfortunately, breeding is not the only problem of the slow migration. The herd has become too adaptive to harsh conditions, and their immune system has become strongly resistant to common diseases, and even viruses created by scientists to reduce their population. It seems like, despite several attempts to trap and kill them, only a pinch of the boar population succumbs to death. The pigs are too expensive to manage due to the ongoing and persistent problem. In fact, about 99% of the county has been infested by the pigs, and Texans are now making desperate attempts to curb the plague. The boars being omnivorous is another lurking doom for the economy and agriculture in Texas from the start. The pigs were left to wander, and now that their population is several times larger, grouping and attempts at herding are not working in the slightest. Several damages have been made to fields, crops, wildlife, and water sources because of their thick palate. It almost seems that everything is consumable for the herd. There has been a bad case of erosion and crop failure due to constant digging and soil disturbance. Also, their constant need to feed leaves is barely enough for other wildlife to go by. Native and rare plants are consumed or uprooted without a chance of survival. Several fields have been hazardous to work on, too barren, or severely disturbed for crops to grow successfully. The water bodies are not spared. Most damage caused by wild pigs is classified as rooting. or the direct consumption of plant and animal materials. Rooting causes more problems because they unearth roots, tubers, fungi, and burrowing animals while using their snouts to search for food. Any water body encountered throughout migration automatically becomes a pig pen for the herd to warm themselves, regulate their temperature, and use the mud as a coat of protection from pests and insects. Undoubtedly, the herds have become too smart and resilient to manage, draining on the state's revenue. According to the report, Texas loses $1.5 billion to damage caused by pigs, annually responsible for over $1.5 billion in damage to agriculture, natural resources, and property a year. It's definitely more than a lump, some amount assigned to destructive and feral creatures. With the increased population, the expenses will likely go higher, to $2.1 billion. Unfortunately, pigs are one of the worst invasive animal species. Farmers bear the brunt of the losses, with their crops devoured within a few hours. Do you think there's a chance of Texas agriculture and soil fertility survival in the long run? What preventive measures are implemented to curb the skyrocketing pig population? At the rate of their ever-growing population, damages to crop fields, and profit losses, the Texas farmers decided to take action and protect their crops from being invaded and chummed down. Several measures have been put in place to keep the wild pigs at arm's length, and for the most part, they seem to be effective, at least in reducing the pigs' attack on crops. It is safe to say farmers are at war, and it is a just cause. So it's like a security camera that's always on. Is there 24 hours a day? The dangers of wandering. Opportunist omnivores' feeding habits on agriculture place a state in a food and economic crisis. Although the control measures might be hardcore and a bit brutal, they have been sufficient to keep the pigs at bay. However, some of the measures are seen as concerning to animal rights activists and conservationists. Farmers have been fencing to protect livestock and crops from wild animals lurking around for a long while. It serves as a barrier between predators, pests, and food crops. The protection was considered efficient at the beginning of the fields and farm invasion, with only a handful of failings. However, this was not the case, as the pigs were strong, rough, and used to wildlife survival. They could easily penetrate the barrier and consume plants to their fill. Hog-proof fencing started to be in use, and it seemed that it could bear the force of additional weight, pressing hard and forcefully pushing through. The steel fences have guaranteed a good night's sleep without so much as a disturbance. A wide range of fences has been used, including electric fences, chain link fences, and various other options. Unfortunately, fencing does not guarantee 100% safety of cornfields. During the harvest season, the pigs become even wilder, brutally eating away at the overgrown plants surrounding the fence, or snipping away at the wires to create openings into a cornfield. Despite the protection not being 100% effective in keeping the wild pigs away, it is way more secure than an open field. Scientists also provided a solution that manipulates sensory using green LED light and noise. Farmers observe the patterns of a pig's lifestyle and are aware the pigs like to rest in dim, weaker lights and darkness. The sensory device manipulates their nature and biology by making the fields undesirable to the pigs using hog lights. It also increases their stress and makes them weary of the surrounding area. Hogs' eyes lack the reflective surface behind the retina that creates eye reflectivity. Their eyes do not reflect light, and their night vision is so poor they can't decipher shadows of fixed light. The LED lighting only emits in the direction targeted, is resistant to mechanical failure or disturbances, and scarcely burns out. Another method, along with hog involves manipulating a pig's sensitive ears through the use of noise when their vision is blurred or even clear. Talking in loud voices, barking of hunting dogs, shotgun shots, and another hog's distress cries are known to scare pigs away. This process is known as sonic electronic repellent, which uses loud noises to scare animals. Some sounds are silent to humans, but have high-frequency sound waves that repel wild animals. Another old, but effective means farmers use to prevent pig invasion in their fields is the use of guard animals, such as dogs, donkeys, and llamas. These animals know to monitor and parade their allocated perimeters regularly. They also effectively disrupt any sly activity or hogs attempting to break in or force through the barriers. Guard dogs, especially, have been known to be very confrontational with predators or, in this case, the pigs. Some farmers also use the trapping method to prevent the pigs from eating away at their cornfields. Most traps can be crafted with simple carpentry skills, like constructing portable box traps or large corral traps designed to hold multiple trapped boars. Due to the pigs outnumbering most hunters and being too resistant to pests and diseases, many farmers do not want to be tasked with the expense of chemical protective practices. Some have decided to push away the wild boars through natural repellents, such as burning elephants and other materials to create smoke, using chili peppers and structuring beehive fences. Chemical repellents are also popular among commercial farmers who cannot afford more losses than interest. Substances such as butanethiol and methylenthrenolate are efficient in keeping the wild hogs away. It has been a hard struggle for farmers and wild boars, eating away at their labor and profit. With the preventive measures put in place, is there a headway to protect their yields, past the destructiveness of the wild boars? Several wild hog hunters and steadfast farmers in Texas have taken to participating in wild boar population control by shooting them down. Most times, hunting is paired with trapping to enable efficient and humane killing of the wild boars. Many hunters scope their attack site by checking out areas with signs of the wild boars, such as disturbed soil, damage to fences, severe damage to crops and hog tracks, and rooting damage to plants. Texas has been very non-restrictive in the rules against hunting and recreational hunters who hunt for sport. The goal is to remove the boars through all necessary, but not overly extreme measures. Tax laws permit hunters to kill wild hogs year-round, without limits, or capture them alive to take to slaughterhouses to be processed and sold to restaurants as exotic meat. Texas landowners do not need a hunting license to shoot if feral hogs are damaging the landowner's property. This is because wild hogs have been classified as unprotected species to control their population, but not to eradicate or endanger the animals. So far, there has been no regulation on the season of hunting, time of shooting, the method of shooting, or the number of games. Texas hog hunting regulations and Texas Park and Wildlife make applications and entries for hog hunting. This is because the population of hogs in Texas far suppresses that of volunteer hunters and recreational hunters. One of the tricks many hunters use to lure wild boars is deer corn, a delicious delicacy to their palate. Usually, hunters place the crops at a major spot of the hog and wait until later in the night to start shooting. Another method is hunting at hog feeders, and a very common involves hunting from helicopters. Tracking dogs have also been used to locate individual or small groups of hogs. Very experienced hunters use their dogs to prevent the hogs from escaping or to keep them bait. Unfortunately, there is no easy road to this. Many dogs have lost their lives or endured grave injuries caused by the hogs. The real question is how effectively human hunting wild boars controls their population. Unfortunately, shooting is not the long-term solution for population control. It is simply a short-term precaution to scare them away from infesting a crop field. The population of Texas hogs has surpassed using small population control methods. It is similar to a commercial farmer using basic tools. It is not a feasible option in the long run. In 2011, Sid Miller, Texas Agriculture Commissioner, passed a bill to legalize the hog stop bill, giving permits for the shooting of feral pigs from a helicopter, and in 2017, hot air balloons were approved as a vehicle to hunt wild boars. One of the most efficient means of control is aerial hunting. The shooting can be done at a clearer range, has many better shooting chances, and is open to inaccessible areas. Usually, the selected targets are killed swiftly and as painlessly as possible. Based on the record damage costs caused by the pigs, it has been found that renting or flying a helicopter is the cheaper option. Like other measures, there are also disadvantages to aerial hunting. Landing or flight can be influenced by rough terrain and poor weather, which indirectly places hunting at favorable seasons and periods alone. There are also challenges of high cover, high cost, and low-level flight hazards. Hot air balloons have also been used by some hunters and are said to be sneakier and quite easy to approach unsuspecting herds. According to experts on the future of boar control strategy, hunting might be futile to future control, as the requirements to maintain a small population have not been enforced to control feral pig populations. It's necessary to remove at least 70% of the population each year to maintain the current size. A yearly take of at least 75% is needed to reduce the population in a given area. The result so far has been a reduced population in localized areas, although this is often caused by the wild boars' migration to new areas, after deeming the former as hostile. Another aftermath of the constant hunting is a new development in the wild boars becoming nocturnal and adapting to surviving in darkness. Using this newly found skill, some boars have taken to finding new and safer sites to settle aware of the danger. By long-term expectation, the new site pigs will reproduce as a small herd, and later a much larger population. It is like a repeated cycle, with little to nothing to show for it. Is hunting down the pigs a necessary solution? Absolutely not. It should be temporary against infestation, but as a long-term measure of population control, it is not a rational choice. Is there a better option for farmers to succeed in the war against the hogs? Most preventive measures so far have been effective, but mostly natural or basic. Is there any contribution made by Texas scientists to help in the fight against food decline in the state? What do ecological experts and wildlife propose to solve the unending nightmare? Since the manual method has mostly been a temporary solution, several advanced propositions have been made to deal with the feral hogs. The recent sterilization measure was implemented despite opposition from animal rights activities with the claims of endangerment. The government proposed Hogstop, a contraceptive product developed by Dr. Dan Loper and his team. Hogstop has been reported to cause a 60% reduction in a boar's sperm motility. This new development has been a relief thanks to technology and Dr. Dan Loper's dedication to finding a solution. The product has been chosen to be delivered to two specific feeders, Barkley feeder and Whip. It had been reported to be very effective. An immunocontraceptive procedure, the gonadotropin-releasing hormone, vaccines contains LH and ESH, used to stimulate ovulation in females and spermatogenesis in males, respectively. The vaccine decreases the estrous cycles of the females. Sid Miller also attempted to implement another alternative. In 2017, the Operation Hog Holocaust, he signed a warfare and base product called Capit. The solution was, however, met with a skeptical attitude from hunters and animal rights activists, who had doubts because the hogs were to be consumed and might be harmful to the human body. In the near future, using toxicants as a means of population control might be approved if the situation is not improved. Another innovative solution is advanced trapping techniques that are more effective than simple constructed cages. It is no news that the feral boars are trapped and then shot for population control. However, several more durable options than the wooden traps have been introduced for better chances against the hogs. Corral traps were introduced to trap multiple hogs. According to reports, the most effective was the round drop wild hog trap, which prevents the hogs from cooperating with themselves to escape from the top of a regular trap. Also, due to their alarming population, proper monitoring of all hogs living in the areas cannot be easily done. In addition, marking hog-rated areas and having a data analysis estimate of the agricultural and economic loss can only be determined with drones. The Texas Parks and Wildlife Commission asserted that, with a permit, it is lawful to use drones solely to locate feral hogs, including at night, unfortunately. Despite all the interventions, the sour truth is reducing the hog population in Texas. The animals are very resistant to vaccines and toxins. These measures might even make them stronger and smarter at hiding and defense. Their adaptive nature also makes things harder than they should have been. The hogs have learned to survive during rain, sun, famine, and abundance. It seems the only vulnerable hogs are those who have yet to have human contact. Once that happens, their height of defense and aggression is deepened. Once they feel trapped or threatened, most of the new creations of biologists seem to be an option in the long run. The vaccines and toxins have come a long way compared to the past situation. It is hoped that over time, there will be more information and study of the feral animals. Their resistive and adaptive nature also needs to be studied to be in the safer part of things. A new chemical toxicant, sodium nitrite, which has recently been developed, has reported a 90% effectiveness rate within a night. The testing is stated to be taking place presently, and once analysis is done, data will be readily available for collection from the Environmental Protection Agency (EPA). One of the best advantages of this toxicant is that it is not only efficient and fast, but also not overly expensive, making it affordable for a good number of farmers who have decided to try out this measure in their fields. For now, fencing, ground and aerial shootings, and recreational hunting are the only options that can be used to stabilize the wild pigs from further population growth until long-term vaccines are introduced and in use. It seems like a long-term wait for the new plans to be implemented. Texas most probably has several years of hunting to look forward to. Are the scientific measures effective, or another measure to pass the time until the more effective wipeout measures are discovered? The activities of wild boars in Texas have crippled agricultural productivity to a bare minimum. The economy is also in shambles due to the aggravated losses experienced every year. More recently, several policies and initiatives have ensured all losses are kept to the barest minimum. Are the changes progressive or just in theory? As we all know, wild pigs provide little value to the ecosystem, but transfer dozens of parasites and pathogens that pigs can potentially carry and spread, such as swine brucellosis, foot and mouth disease, bubonic plague, and various intestinal worms. Not only does that put water supplies at risk, it can potentially spread disease to livestock, wildlife, and even people if not monitored. The Texas legislature passed HB 716 in response to these devastating numbers. The great state of Texas has ruled feral hogs a threat to the state, and these hogs may be taken by any means or methods necessary in Hellebacon's case. This equates to helicopters with machine guns. The use of this method has proven effective in the ongoing man versus hog war. One of the new policies to ensure hogs' popular control is the creation of bounty programs. The Texan government needed more purposeful shootings to achieve their target of more than half the feral boar population being wiped out. The officials realized that recreational hunters might be the answer to increased shooting, to trigger the challenges of selective harvest by recreational hunters instead of random shootings. Some local governments have implemented bounty programs to incentivize hunters to increase hunting pressure in certain areas. These efforts were often met with minimal results, and despite other side attractions, they failed to increase hunting pressure significantly. Minimal output, however, is not the case for all bounty programs. Some usually result in a more concerning state than the first, due to using supplemental feed as bait and selectively prized queen to win. Thus, the action only triggers more resistance and smarter means to escape. Being trapped or shot at Texas has the highest population of these voracious invaders. According to a report by the Texas Agri-Life Extension Service, feral hogs in Texas cause an estimated $50 million in damage to the agricultural industry annually. One of the ways that they hunt for their presence is by leaving a trail of disasters, following them wherever they are. The feral hog's foraging behavior can cause several direct impacts on crop production and a shortage of water supply. Most of the plants are uprooted, leading to several dollars worth of harvestable crops, seeds, and seedlings being consumed. The irrigation systems are not exempted and have been severely damaged by rooting, wallowing, and rubbing on plants to scratch itches. The closeness of these feral boars to human-consuming food crops is very risky. Hogs are known to host over 30 or more bacterial, fungal, and viral diseases, posing a constant risk of transmission. According to a news report from surveillance in 2019, a total of 29 corn and 41 peanut fields were found to be destroyed by the vermin. This cost was totaled to be over $50 million loss. This year, their losses are even much greater. What the pigs have done to the state's agricultural sector is a menace. Another policy is that landowners or agents can kill feral hogs on their property without a hunting license, and only when they are causing damage. However, any landowner who plans to trap or snare hogs should have a valid Texas hunting license, since these activities could affect other wildlife species. Wild pigs are classified as game animals by the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, and a license and tag are required to hunt them. If wild pigs cause property damage, depredation permits are available to remove nuisance individuals. To eradicate the hog problem, the U.S. Department of Agriculture kicked off a $20 million program to find control of the feral swine. Before it became widely known, the program was restricted to only a few states. However, the affected states recently agreed to merge and publicize their sales goals. This olive branch extension has caused data to be updated on the data of states affected, from 17 states in 1982 to 39. And now, there are even more counties affected by the wandering strudel. Is there any future for Texas without the wild hogs? Will the preventive measures be efficient enough for it to become a reality?